Hi everyone, SG Caper, and I'm doing some painting, and I figured why not make a video out of it. Not going to be doing any particular technique or anything in this video. It's more just a general painting. I've been working on these two halfling figures, and I want to finish them up. See if I can do that on video. So I'm gonna work on this guy. And now I did a video about the foot mods on this. It's a boss fight studio blank foot that I modified and stuck in, so that you can find that video. Otherwise, this is all, with the exception of the head, which is from a WWN Rumbler. It's all sorry, get that in there. Parts from the line, well, and the hands, I guess, for boss fight too. What I've done is I put the parts I wanted together, primed it black, and then I started doing some base coats. The pants were Citadel base, Mournfang brown. The shirt is, I think it's this, which is Citadel base corn red. And then the flesh tone is Citadel layer Kislev flesh. So I'm just going to work on this, see how much I can get done, see if I can finish it. Now, one of the things I did to get these boss fight hands to fit into this is I had to put a little hot glue in there, but it kind of spilled out, and I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to just cut it off. And now the hand should fit in there much better, and I won't have that big glob sticking out. So there's one. I gotta do the same thing to the other side. When you fill the hole with the hot glue and then push in the part that you're going to do, some of the hot glue spills out, and you do got to wait for it to dry to get it off. Okay, so there we have it. Let's work on the head. I'm calling this guy the Head because he's got a giant noggin for a halfling, and I decided I wanted to make him a redhead. I don't know why. Actually, I just thought it might be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to use some Citadel base Mephiston red, a little Citadel layer flash gits yellow. I'm just going to mix it over here. It always ends up being far more yellow than red. It's probably like 75-25 if you want to mix up your own. But what I do is I start with it a little darker, and then I'll add yellow to my mix. So you can see this is more of a red orange than the red that I want it to be. But when I go to put the other colors over it, it'll help create the look I'm looking for. And I want to make sure, for this head, I want to make sure that I really get in and get all this texture, because the hair is very textured on this head. Because as I go over with the next color that I mix, it's going to be slightly lighter, and it's going to help add some depth. almost done with this first mix. My wife and my daughter had her last day of school yesterday. Her last day of school was actually today, but she didn't go because the last day was supposed to be yesterday. We had a snow day. Well, whatever. My wife and her went to visit my wife's grandfather, and I am home, so I'm going crazy and trying to get some projects done. I built my Lego Voltron that my wife bought me 3 years ago, and doing some painting. I'm going to do some actual work around the house too. Alright, so there's our first layer. I want the next layer to be lighter. So, like I said, 75, about 75-25, yellow to red. And you can see that this is much more orange. This is definitely more red-orange. I'm basically using dry brush techniques to get this on. I don't want it to fill in the deeper areas. No, it doesn't really show up. I can see it in hand, but it doesn't look like the camera's picking it up. So this guy is going to be a villain, not because he's a redhead, but because I thought it would be fun to have a halfling villain in my like fantasy universe. Okay. It does have, no, I guess it doesn't. Thought I had some facial hair, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna just skip over that. Clean my brush. I'm thinking of doing like a live painting session. I don't know if anyone would be interested. I think I've mentioned that before. I might do it tonight. I was bored last night. All right. There's that so far. Go to flesh tone. And just want to clean that up a little. And again, this is the Kislev flesh, which is like my favorite one that they make. Do I need to paint in here? I don't. I could just leave it the way it is. No one's going to see it, but I figure why not. All right. I'm going to let that dry before I work on the face. Go to this tiny little body and put in the neck. All right. Now I did put a layer of it on these arms, but I want to go over it again. What I find with this Kislev is that it does take a couple thin layers. It works better when you do a couple thin layers versus trying to get it all on in one shot. Okay. I had someone on Instagram ask me if I thin my paints, and the truth is I really don't. It's very rare that I would purposefully thin these paints. There are a few that if I want to use, I thin them, and that's mainly because they're a little harder in the pot. They're older paints that I had too long, and I'm too cheap to replace them, so I'll drop a little bit of this in Citadel Technical Lathmian Medium. I'll put a drop or two of that in, shake it up, mix it up, and it's good to go. But what I do is my brushes are almost always wet or damp, so I'm sure that the water on the brush thins it slightly, but I'm not going out of my way to thin them like I've seen some people do. Not against it. I just don't do it because I'm lazy. All right. I'm going to work on these legs. Now, I did do the brown, like I said before. What I want to do is clean it up, clean up the boot area. So I'm going to go in with black, Citadel Base Abaddon black. I'm going to clean it up, and then from there, I'll start the weathering process. It's actually surprising to me how much detail these little figures have. Yeah. So now you can see I'm going to have to do some paint on that joint. Alright, I'll probably have to do the same here. Yeah. Clean the brush. Come on, Russ. I wasn't kidding. Cleaning brushes is the best part sometimes. Okay, and I'm back to the Mournfang brown. I have to look up sometimes to check and make sure I'm in camera. A lot of times when I'm painting, I'm like holding them in my lap, not really holding them over the table. So I gotta remind myself that you might actually want to see what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of cleaning it up. That's better. So now those will dry, and then we'll go back to the head. I want to get a smaller brush because I'm going to start with the eyes. Looking for a brush. This is my cup of brushes. Looks like I might not have ever used this one, so let's try it. This is a layer from Citadel, but I might be able to do with it what I want. A little bit of black. If you've watched some of my other videos with painting eyes, you'll know I always go the black first. There are people that say to do the black last, and they're not wrong. I just prefer to do it this way. Try to get the eyes how I want them. Let that dry, and I figure, you know what, I got the black out. While I wait for those to dry, let's touch up this guy. This is going to be another little dude. Curly hair sculpts are some of the most difficult to paint. I mean, I could take this apart and it would be much easier. I wouldn't be so worried about getting the brown, messing up the brown. I am keeping this coat brown. I'm not painting it because I don't think this plastic will take the paint well. And what I'm lucky is that the Mournfang brown that I have is a very close match to it. So that's the Mournfang brown on the upper arms. And it's a pretty good match. So when I finish this figure, that's what it's gonna basically look like. I gotta paint the legs and stuff. All right, that head should hopefully be dry. Moving on to the white, I'm using the Citadel layer white scar. Come on. I need to get myself some little BBs to drop in some of these to help mix them. All right. Just a little bit of white. And eyes are tricky because you want them to look the same on both sides, and that's the part that a lot of people have problems with. I run into it myself, is matching them. I mean, I've seen people like Dayton Allen who can paint veins, bloodshot eyes perfectly in this scale, and I'm in awe. It's definitely not my skill set. Sorry, this light was actually too bright. It was making it so I couldn't see. And for me, the key is go a little bit at a time. Don't try to go too much. A lot of people go in really heavy with their brushes. Don't do that. Little bits of paint. Take your time. There's no prize for coming in first, for getting it done fast. Especially if it means you're unhappy and you want to do it over again anyway. All right. What I find the biggest factor on eyes for me personally is how well the face sculpt is. How well done the face sculpt is. If it's a really well done face sculpt, it's easier to get the eyes done. I found some face sculpts that are they're just trash. And so it's much more difficult to do the eyes well on them. Red head, green eyes. Citadel layer, Lauren Forest. Again, just a little bit on here. There's one. Shoot. Okay. Clean the brush. Give that a few seconds to dry because I'm going back to clean it up with that Kiss of Flesh in a minute. What I've got left to do on these parts is probably just some dry brushing to weather them up a little bit. Not much more. All right. Cleaning up the eyes. When you're doing figures, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That is how you learn. These actually don't look too bad to me. Okay. Now there's something missing, and that is eyebrows. So go back to my red and my yellow. Mix me up some eyebrow color. Eyebrows can be aggravating, much like just eyes in general, because whatever you do on one side, you want it to look similar on the other. You want it to, but if you look at yourself in a mirror on one side and you cover the other side of your face and then you look at the other side, you are not symmetrical. Things are not even. So don't worry too much about it. If someone gives you crap, you can just say you're being more realistic. There it is. Okay. Clean my brush. I'm going to use a 2-0, just a random brush I have here. And I'm going to go with a tan. I need to get new tan paints. I am almost out. What is the tan for? For this, it's going to be the pants. And I'm doing a very faint dry brush, which is actually showing up really nicely here in person. I don't know if it is on the screen or not. I am not cleaning my brush. I am not cleaning my brush. There's not a lot of paint on it anyway because I'm dry brushing, so most of the paint has come off. But I'm kind of hoping that some of this tan might mix with some of this gray. For when I do these boots. Definitely need more. There we go. This little belt has some pouches and stuff on it, so I'm going to do that to bring that out. The belt buckle is there, so that's the front. There's that. Alright, I am again not going to clean my brush, and I'm going to get a red Evil Sun's Scarlet. Maybe it won't be Evil Sun's Scarlet. Let's find out. Come on. Alright. And with this brush that has not been cleaned, I've used it for tan and gray. I'm now gonna get this red. And go over this maroon shirt with it. Bring out some highlights. That's working better than I thought. Okay. Now I'm cleaning my brush. Now, he definitely needs some accessories. I do believe the painting part is done. I don't know how much you can see, but looks good. We got some different values going on in each part. Stands up pretty good. Now I'm going to pick out accessories and take some photos of them. So you'll probably see what accessories I picked in the thumbnail for this video. All right, take it easy, keep painting.